we're going to solve some past questions. So on your screen, as you can see, we have May-June 2025, paper 52, that is probability and statistics 1. So without wasting much time, let's just jump into it. So we're going to start from question 1 and we're going to solve through to the last question. Right. Now, in order not for this video to be very long, we're going to tackle them question after question. In any case, if one question tends to have A, B, C, and solving them together would take a very long time, we might probably consider solving them in different videos or multiple videos, right? Okay, so let's get started. Now we're going to look at the very first question, that is question number 1. Okay, so question number 1 says that Rahel has 3 coins. The first coin is biased, so that the probability of obtaining a head when it's thrown is 1/3. The second coin is biased, so the probability of obtaining a head when it's thrown is 1/4. The third coin is fair. Rahel throws the 3 coins at the same time. The random variable x is the number of tails that she obtains. Draw up the probability distribution table for x. Okay, so this question is very simple to say the least, and we're going to jump right into it. So let's get started. Yeah, so we are on our backup board, and this is our question 1, just as I read it. Okay, so let's get started. Now let's try and move this back a bit so we can have enough space for ourselves. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so from the question we were told that the probability, right, the probability of obtaining the head for the first coin, so let's call the first coin C1. Now with C1, the probability of obtaining head Okay, so now we are back to looking at our tree diagram once more. Now we can see that for the various probabilities that we have the probability of 3H, probability of 2HT, probability of HTH, probability of H2T, probability of T2H, THT, again THT, 2TH, and 3T, right? So with this, the question said the random variable x is the number of tails that she obtains, right? So it means the x is for the number of tails. So when you look at the scenario where we have 3H, it means we had 0 tails, right? So it means that some of the outcomes that we are going to get in terms of x is we're going to get x being 0 at some point. Then when you look at some instances too, we can see that t appears only once. Example, we have probability of 2HT. You realize that you had 2 heads and a tail, right? And there are others as well. So it means we can also have 1 for x, right? Then you can also see probability H2T, right? It means there's an instance where we can have 2 as the value of x. So we have that. Then when you look down here, we have 3T. So we can have 0, 1, 2, and 3. All are some of the values we can have for x. That is, when x is equal to 0, it means we had 3 heads, right? When x is equal to 1, it means we had only 1 tail and 2 heads. When it's equal to 2, it means when she threw the 3 coins, 2 of them were were tails and 1 was head. Then the third one, that is when we have the number 3, it means we had all 3 coins showing a tail, right? So we are now going to calculate the corresponding probabilities for these x values, right? So this is the beginning of our table. Let me draw the lines to this and that. This is our probability that x is equal to small x. Okay, so now let's see how we're going to go about this. Now when you look at our table, we have for x is equal to 0, it means we have 3 heads, right? So you realize that 3 each appeared only once on our tree diagram, and the probability assigned to it is 1 out of 24. So that becomes our probability for x is equal to 0. So we have 1 out of 24, right? Now when x is equal to 1, it means we're talking about 1t, right? And when you look on our tree diagram, we can find this. We can find this one where t is 1. We can also see this one where t is 1. We can also see this one where t is 1, right? So we have 3 different cases where we get 1 for t. Okay, so we have to add the corresponding probabilities for these 3 cases. Then we put that under x is equal to 1. So let's see probability of x is equal to 1. Let me write it. Probability of x is equal to 1. We have this one, 1 out of 24, 1 out of 8, and 1 out of 12. So that's what we're going to add. 1 out of 24 plus 1 out of 8, and then 1 out of 12. And what would this give us? You can use your calculator to check and see. Now I have my calculator right beside me, so I can do that calculation. 1 out of 24 plus 1 out of 8 plus 1 out of 12, and that gives us 1 out of 4. So that's what we have for when x is equal to 1. So we put that on our table, right? Then we come to when x is equal to 2. So when x is equal to 2, we go back to our tree diagram. That is, we're looking at the cases where we have 2 t's, right? So we have this one, 2t, as we can see, 2 t's there. We have this one, we can see th and another t, so we have 2 t's, right? Then we can see this one as well, we have 2t and h. So we're going to add their corresponding probabilities and put it under x is equal to 2. So for probability of x is equal to 2, we have 1 out of 8 plus 1 out of 12 plus 1 out of 4. So you can use your calculator and check whether the values I'm putting there are the right ones. Okay, so this gives us 11 out of 24. 11 out of 24, so we'll put that, and x is equal to 2, so we have 11 out of 24. Then we come to the case where t is equal to 3. Now when you look on our table, it's only this one that shows t is equal to 3. So x is equal to 3 will have only this probability, which is 1 out of 4. So we'll put that here. One out of 4. Now, this, as we have right here, is our probability distribution table as required by the question. So by doing this, you end up with 3 marks, and this is one of the simplest questions you can come across so far as probability and statistics is concerned. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this question, or this solution, let me put it this way. And if you have any challenge or any confusion with how I solve this, you can put your questions in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to reply right once I see it. So yeah, that is the end, and till we meet again, Ndoza Bachinya, adios and goodbye. Catch you in the next one. Bye.